Our next panel looks at how brands are adapting the consumer behavior shift and combating the urges that challenge brand loyalty and much more. Well, the topic is brand loyalty eroding? A very interesting topic, and for this, let's welcome our session chair Prasad Shirale, founder and CEO LogicServe Digital, and joining would be our esteemed panelist Rahul Gandhi, CMO ID Fresh Foods, Pradnya Popare, Head Marketing Communication Samsonite South Asia, Ram Suresh Akela, the Executive Director Marketing Maruti Suzuki India Limited, Dr. Ipshita Chatterjee, the Head Innovation Development and Brand Strategy Lotus Herbals. We've got Ruchika Gupta, CMO Luminous Power Technologies, and Siddharth Tawade, the Managing Director India and SAARC MIQ, joining us. Well, with this, I'd like to humbly welcome all our panelists and thank you for joining us. Prasad, the stage and screen is all yours to take it forth with your panel. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Bhavna, and what great sessions. A lot of it got me thinking a lot of stuff. Some of the things which are really going through my mind. That sometime back we heard about consumer being elusive, how data natives are working. There's a previous one about co-marketing. So good evening to all, and welcome to India Brand Conclave 2021. This is a panel discussion trying to answer one of the most critical questions that every marketer wants to decipher, and that is brand loyalty eroding? Okay, I am quite sure many of us are like everyday morning that something like some of that question really gets to our mind. But you know what, we are very lucky today to have panelists from different industries catering consumer needs, from food to travel accessories to mobility to beauty and skincare to power backups and solar solution to agency helping the brands to drive through the new normal in the post-COVID world. So I am quite sure everyone has talked about it, but just in March 2020, the world within a few days changed. The way we work, the way we learn, the way we communicate, the way we entertain, the way we shop, everything has changed. And I know I always keep saying that we are consumers first before we are marketers. And when I look within myself, I see a lot of change. And suddenly one of the most critical thing happened to me is that suddenly the apart from many other parameters which were really relevant earlier when it comes to brand loyalty, availability became more important than the probably one of the important thing for every day I have it a cream biscuit. So when I used to walk into the store and ask, earlier I used to ask with that brand name, and during the availability was a problem, I started asking saying that bhaiya kuch cream biscuit hai. Okay, so that's what a lot of things changed like that. But so let's understand, is brand loyalty eroding? But before that, I would sort of like to know more about according to you, what is brand loyalty? How do you define? So Ruchika, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. And I think, so good evening, everybody. And I think Prasad, you set the stage very easily for me to continue on. I've always believed that we are first consumers and then marketeers. So what is loyalty to me in my own life is going to be, driving brand loyalty for consumers as well. And I think the biggest foundation for loyalty has always been trust. It needs to be a brand I trust, and it needs to be recommended. So, if you break down trust, and I'm referring to the Kantar study on the barometer exercise that they ran all through COVID and in the middle of this year as well, they have very nicely broken this up into two key elements on trust. One is, do people who I trust this brand? So an expert recommendation, for example, forms a huge part of trust. And second is, the overall brand reputation in my mind. Do they do good things? Whether it is through a CSR perspective, do they do good quality products? Do they make it easy for consumers to understand the product or anything like that? Is it a good brand for me? And these two pillars for me remain constant. I don't think COVID or irrespective of anything else is going to change these two pillars or foundations, as I refer to them as. Yes, the manifestations would change. The media could change, the way I access it could change, and everything like that. And temporary blips in usage might change as well. But is the brand that, eventually winning my loyalty, a brand that I trust will always remain the same. So that's what to me loyalty is.
That's a very interesting one, Ruchika. And if with that, I think I mean it's very difficult to build the trust and very easy to break it once one incident which happens. Okay, and that is your reputation. So that very well said. I think let's understand from you, Ram, about your definition of brand loyalty. Trust is something probably Ruchika has said, and any other parameters that you probably talk about. Ram?
Yeah, so good evening and thanks, Ruchika. I think I kind of agree with you almost completely. But again, I think the first thing to understand about a brand is that it's much more than just a logo, a product, a website, or just a service. It's like this organic thing, which is, that is a community in itself. Most of us as marketeers, we are tempted to view brand loyalty in terms of all the financial transactions that a customer has with the brand when they buy something. But actually something far more profound is happening. The fact is that customers just don't buy a product with the currency that they provide, but actually they're buying into a brand with their emotional currency. And this is that they're investing their trust, their faith, and as Ruchika mentioned, the trust is a very important aspect here, and also their expectations of satisfaction from the product. So I feel that this trust and the expectation is what actually defines brand loyalty, and it defines brand loyalty differently across different categories and different industries. For example, a high involvement sector like ours, this trust and the experience actually is a very important aspect when it comes to brand loyalty.
That's a very interesting one. It's not about a financial transaction, but emotional currency, which is a very interesting one. And I think one of the things which many of the brand talked about during the COVID is about empathy and trying to sort of connect to that emotional one. But two important points, definitely trust and emotional currency. Would like to know, Pradnya, from you, your definition of brand loyalty. What are the important?
Well, I completely agree that it's a trust. But I'll have to, I would like to break down the trust. I think there are two very key important for the trust is the characteristics of the brand and the competency of the brand, because the trust will get established with these two factors. And as long as the brand is able to deliver the competitive product with its essential characteristics as to why it is there, why it is selling, and why the consumer is buying, that will define its existence and its purpose. And as long as that purpose stays and the brand evolves with the shifts happening, consumer, demographical, technological, or social, as long as that purpose is intact with the overarching competency and the characteristics of the brand will stay strong, as many years that's there. We are 111th year running now, Samsonite. And I think Samsonite is really strong in terms of its competency and the, characteristics of the brand.
Very interesting. Trust, emotional currency, and sort of purpose of the brand. Okay, that's what we are coming to. So these are evergreen, always there. Okay, and that comes to my next question to remaining three panelists. Okay, is if these are so truth across, I don't know, thousands of years, maybe in whichever way, marketeers did marketing whichever way. So has this year, I have this, 20 months that we have seen. Is it really that brand loyalty is really eroding? Yes, no. If yes, why? If no, why? How? Rahul, you want to take the first space on that? Yes, no. What's your take?
Is brand loyalty eroding? I think if you take the 20-month context that you're giving, the answer that I have in my head is no. Yeah. But that answer is a bit, I want to qualify that answer a bit. It actually is a bit category specific. So there were categories that were affected by COVID and there were categories which were not affected by COVID. Now, almost every category was affected by COVID. But when I say affected, health and hygiene, food and nutrition, general sanitation, these were categories that were core and revolving around the COVID phenomena. However, something like a perfume or a pencil or a matchbox maybe was not. Now, what happens is that in categories which were affected by COVID, so for example, food, which is the category that I'm in, or say sanitation, with a category where Dettol or Savlon were playing it. Yeah, in those categories, actually brand loyalty shot up. And if you look at the data of these categories, you'll actually see that the market leaders have actually consolidated their positions because of two primary reasons. One is, of course, they were available. Most of the market leaders were large companies who had, distribution networks which were still active, whereas the smaller players disappeared from the market. And you were giving the example of cream biscuits. Also, some smaller players disappeared, and the larger ones, the Parle-G and the Sunfeast and the Tiger, would have stayed. Yeah. So in categories like food, where ID was also available, ID never disrupted, we actually consolidated our market position. Yeah. That was one reason. The other reason was that, in a scenario of fear, yeah, and COVID was actually all about fear. COVID was actually when we stopped trusting our neighbor. We didn't want to go near the neighbor. We didn't want to touch the neighbor. We would definitely not touch a third-party delivery boy who's coming across. So what we were actually losing is, we were actually losing trust in humans, in people in general. And when that happens, you tend to trust people which are closer to you. You tend to trust the market leaders. You tend to trust the players who are large. Okay, I'm going to go to this XYZ restaurant only because I've been there so many times. I'll buy only this brand. I know it charges me 20% premium, but that possibly means that these guys are following better practices at the factory. And I know I will follow Lifebuoy because Lifebuoy is a brand that I will trust. They've been with me. So in categories that were affected by COVID directly, yeah, like health, hygiene, sanitation, food, brand loyalty actually did not erode. It actually became strong. But in general, in categories where COVID had no effect, yeah, those were categories where the phenomena that has been lingering on for the last many decades of globalization, urbanization, nowadays it's so easy to launch a product. Yeah, because information is so widely available. You can get in touch with a third-party vendor so easily. You can contact him over phone or WhatsApp so easily, and you can bring a competition into the market, populate it with e-commerce, and give the consumer 200 choices instead of one choice. And if that is not affected by COVID, so in a 20-month scenario, in categories that were affected by COVID, brand loyalty is not eroding, it's actually becoming stronger. In a longer term scenario, where categories were not affected by things, I think brand loyalty has been eroding. It has been continuing, and brand loyalty is eroding because, you have 20 choices. Yeah, so, and if, not affected by COVID, people would like to, get the best value from them by flirting with goods and seeing which one is giving them the best, perceived value versus whatever cost.
Yeah, Rahul, I think it's very interesting thing, when you put a filter of a category, it starts making a lot of sense. And you also talk about trust and, connection with COVID and the categories which have sort of got affected that way. But good one. Siddharth, what's your take on this? Because you've been interacting with so many brands, I would really want to know, because you would have exposure to multiple categories during this time, right? Siddharth?
Yeah, absolutely, Prasad. So I agree with what earlier Pragya and Ritika were saying, and now Rahul is saying. So a bit of contrast in the views, but also there is a lot of similarities as well. Just to add on my take on this is that I think one is the biggest one which we are seeing is that digitalization has really accelerated during this time, these 2 years, right? And there is fragmentation, and brand loyalty overall in many categories has been eroding because there are so many choices which have come up. And I'm not saying just from a pandemic perspective, but also happening in the last decade or so, when obviously consumerism has increased, consumption has increased, plethora of brands have come in, and there are so many choices which consumers are having. So obviously that way, then brand loyalty will go down to that extent. And then within that, what is happening is that what are the touch points for the consumer, right? What are the channels by which brands are accessing or consumers are accessing these brands? And then it's basically what's called, Nazar Hati Durgatna Ghati, which is basically, if you are not on the new channels where consumers are, right? And it's not about, I'm not just talking about digital, I'm just talking about any and every new channel which consumers have adopted during these times as well, during the COVID time as well. If you are not there during that time, then there is, and if you are in a category which is, not related to wellness or related to health or safety, etc., then definitely there is a huge chance that you will not be able to capture consumers' attention, and consumer will start flirting with other brands in your category who are present on those channels, and then from there you might see your loyalty eroding in a very, very strong way. And just to add one more thing here, when I was at Google 10 years back, that time, there was a big discussion which we had internally that, there are so many countries where there is no print media now. But, of course, in India, print media continues to thrive throughout the last decade. And I'm definitely sure that print media is going to do well. But at the same time, if you see the way pandemic has accelerated the digitalization, I feel that there are so many new channels which will come up. For example, the analog TV will become digital. Connected TV will become a very, very big channel in coming years. I think we are going through a tectonic shift in the media landscape as well, and that is something which all of us will have to keep a watch on and see if we are being relevant in terms of channels for the consumer.
Interesting. I think another sort of a filter that I saw is the touch points. Okay, if you miss out on the touch point, then the brand loyalty could be in problem. And I would really like to know, Ipsita, Dr. Ipsita, your views on the topic. Okay, has it changed? Has the eroding happening, not happening, and why?
Right. Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. I totally agree with my fellow panelists about how, brand loyalty has shifted and changed over a period of time, and categories play a very important role. But before that, I wanted to talk about, the choice overload that exists today in the market. So we have so much choice overload. And according to one of the leading evolutionary anthropologists, he has said that, our brain can make only 150 meaningful associations or relationships. So with the kind of choice overload, there's a decision making fatigue that exists in the market. And that's why brand loyalty is not eroding per se, but it is being now categorized into 3 forms of loyalists, which is the heart, the head, and the hand loyalists. For example, a heart loyalist in the past 20 months would have a lot of heart and would echo and invest in his loyalty with brands which echoed with his sentiments, with altruism, with philanthropy, and also look towards mindful experiences from the brands. Similarly, the head loyalists would probably go for, lucrative offers. For example, a lot of brands did a lot of liquidation in the past 20 months of their goods so that, they make sales and, meet their targets and numbers. So that's how they shifted. And apart from that, the hand loyalists definitely changed habits. That's where channel came into existence. So in totality, if you ask me the question, is brand loyalty eroding? No. For across categories, it might be different. Beauty, of course, has emerged as a beautiful winner because now mindfulness, wellness, and beauty and personal care space has emerged as a winner during the past 20 months. The dynamics have changed, the touch points have changed. As I told, now the loyalty programs have to be categorized according to the target audience and very customized, tailor-made. Pradnya has said, non-linear consumer journey should be followed. And I think that's how loyalty will change over a period of time. So answering your question again, brand loyalty eroding? No, it is changing. Where there is erosion, you'll have to put some guardrails and take some measures. So brands have to be adaptive, collaborative, nimble, and agile. That's what my take is.
Wow, what a interesting sort of a take. Again, all 3 of you again a very interesting take on from the category perspective, touch points to choice and overloads and customize and personalize one. So with all this definition of brand loyalty and different parameters, one of the important equation comes to my mind. Probably would have read in one of the Kotler's one wherein customer perceived value equals total customer benefit minus total customer cost. And when it comes to customer benefits, it's basically improving economical, functional, psychological benefits of that product, service, people, or image. And when it comes to cost, total customer cost, it is definitely the time, energy, psychological investment, all that gets into that. But these are something which we always had thought about, and on the whole there's a strong correlation between brand loyalty and CPV. But as I was hearing to you, some of the parameters may have changed during the COVID time, okay, and or probably if the parameters may not have changed, but the weightages would have changed a lot. Okay, for example, safety, security, availability, convenience, empathy, okay, all those parameters started becoming more relevant than probably image, okay, whatever. Okay, it again depends, you guys can tell me, it all depends on the on the category and things like that. But Pradnya, the next question is to you. Samsonite, it's I assume, and you mentioned 111 years, legacy brand. Okay, so how is the brand? And I really want to know the brand stories from your side. So how is the brand responding to the new parameters, new weightages when it comes to brand loyalty, and what your experience has been? Has she dropped out? Maybe yes. So probably I think when she comes back, we'll ask the similar question to her. But Ruchita, I have to check. Ruchika, I have to check. You are there, right? Okay, Ruchika, I really want to know, when it comes to, power backups and home electrical segments, the channel is important, and influencer. Okay, and they are very important when it comes to connecting with the consumers. Okay, so how did you react when conversations were hampered during the lockdowns?
So I think Prasad, that was for a category like ours, while we are a B2C organization, our business revenues are thoroughly rooted via the middle stakeholders, which is the channel. And when the lockdown etc. happened, there is another way of looking at brand loyalty itself, right? Because there is also a channel loyalty. Each one of these shopkeepers and the owners have their own set of loyal network of customers and everything, and they were not the most digitized channel guys. I'm talking of most of them are typically not really connected except for phone calls, and that was something that was completely taking them by surprise as well. So very quickly, and I and like Ikshita was talking about it, the only successful brands are those which are agile and nimble. So I think within 2 days of the lockdown getting announced, what we had very quickly moved into was to support the channel in managing their communication to their customers. It wasn't about Luminous communicating to the end customers. It was about helping the channel communicate to their customers. So we came up with these very simple ideas on editable creatives on WhatsApp, giving them space. We did videos teaching them how to put in their own name and number into that creative and then sending it out as WhatsApp to their own customer databases. We moved on to editable videos where, simple videos of the fact that, this is how you can service your battery at home, or this is how you can do it at home. And imagine it coming to the end consumer through the guy that he trusts, right? Rather than just the brand telling them, because brand is obviously ready to help. And we were sharing it on the regular YouTubes and Facebooks and all of the world. But Gupta Traders sending it out to his own customer database helped him a lot in building, and then in reverse it helped us drive a very, very enhanced amount of channel engagement for our brand, because the channel recognized the fact that the brand was not trying to say that get out of my way and I'll deal with the end consumer myself, or in any which case not recognize the difficulties that they were going through. So I thoroughly believe that it helped us a lot by taking that view rather than a very conventional view of a lot of brands were doing a lot of digital stuff, right? We also did. It's not that we didn't do those things, but this additional thing that we did with the channel, I believe contributed much more to our success in this 20 months period.
I completely agree with you. Okay, because this channel has always been helping to you, and during this change, correct, if you help them, okay, yeah, they are going to help you. This is such a beautiful thought. Pradnya, I think we had lost you during this time. Yeah, my question was to you, so I'll repeat that question. So I heard that you mentioned Samsonite is 111 years. I mean, it's almost a legacy brand now. Yeah. Okay, and so how did, and there's a travel was affected late, at the initial, a bit of now also, but how did the brand respond to the new consumer? Okay, because that's probably we wanted to hear about your experiences on that. And we heard how Ruchika sort of enabled the channels, but so what is your story, and what did you do?
So everyone, there is a it's a 111 years old brand. So every now and then there have been a new consumers, right? So the most important, and as Ram said, and as Siddharth said, so emotional, emotional currency. So today consumer has a holistic view, of the value. And that value is derived from the tangible and intangible benefits of the brand. Yeah, so the most important thing is tangible benefits we know as what we are saying and as our interaction with the product. But how do we communicate to the consumers? There are various aspects of the brand, like Samsonite has been on the forefront of the innovation for, from the upright bags to the two wheels to these four spinners and to the latest smart technology of a fingerprint locking system or the inbuilt weighing scale. So the whole interaction needs to be happening with the today's consumer time and again. And that interaction can happen through any way because it's the digital world. 150 million consumers are now buying online. So how do we and there are almost 100, 650, penetration of the digital. So 650 million internet penetration in India today. So how do we start interacting with the consumers when there is a complete ease of buying and a convenience is given the first priority? And that's how even we, first of all, when we started to map the non-linear journey of the consumer, that how do we start seeing and interacting and communicating with the consumers at wherever they are. So there is a model called See, Think, Do, Care, and actually it's a Google model for the only the digital platforms. But we thought of adapting that to the all multi-channel platform and going by what we can do in a C phase where consumer is just trying to search or discover the product. What kind of a communication? How do we optimize on a search? We also launched our direct to consumer website in a pandemic because we saw that the other platforms were not really pushing the premium product, and Samsonite is a premium product. So how do we really gauge and make whatever we can make in the market in the pandemic? So we start off mapping the journey from See, Think, Do, Care. When it comes to see is through from the window communication, from the YouTube communication, from the search engine optimization for our brand, from thinking in terms of how from the influencer marketing, from driving swipe up stories from the influencers across social media marketing, in-store experience, having a communication at the brand level and at the product level. In the Do Care, how they can have the easiest checkout experience, how can they get notifications through mobile, how do you get to know, how can they see the latest product which is there in the market. And under See, Think, Do, Care, another care session, how do we go back to them through the emailers, take their customer satisfaction score, get the overall store experience also at a better checkout experience. So we map the whole See, Think, Do, Care as a module to the non-linear journey of the consumer and adapted that for our website, which is a new website, and also for the in general as a consumer wherever he is available. Secondly is that as the brand needs to be relevant and the intangible benefits of the reliability, safety, aspirational value, sustainability is becoming more and more important. We are already on the journey of carbon neutral company, and we have in Samsonite at our factory and a warehouse, we have the solar panels, and we are already net surplus on the energy out there. We are doing we are having the recycless technology where we are introducing the products with the used yogurt cups and the plastic bottles. So those are getting recycled and the fabric is getting made out of it, and we are having a eco collection. We almost have 8 to 10 backpacks in an eco collection, and a hard and a soft luggage also. So we are trying to have this journey, making more and more to the mass and the value segment also. We have a American Tourister and the Chameleon as a product. So not just the Samsonite, the material which is going to get used for the soft luggage, for this value and a mass segment, and the interior design and the material which is used for the interior of these bags are also from the recycled material. So we hope that we are completely a carbon neutral company by 2024, and that's our objective.
Yeah, that's very interesting from to take care of non-linear journey, managing B2C and providing a purpose, which we talked about with respect to sustainability. Okay, that's an awesome way of giving adding those extra parameters for a brand loyalty. There's a very interesting one when the lockdown happened, we all of us fell to the lowest form, to the Maslow's lowest area, okay, where food was so critical, right? And that is where, and of course, we started talking about having a fresh food and hygiene food. Okay, so Rahul, I really want to know, and I'm quite sure, and you have also mentioned, it really, a brand like yours would have really got that help of that tailwind, which you saw. But want to hear about your experiences on that, and how did you enhance further than probably what the situation asked for?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's unfortunate to say that the pandemic was good for some, but for a brand that has been talking about eat healthy, eat fresh, don't add chemicals, don't add preservatives for the last 10, 15 years. Yeah, it's almost like our voice got some, support from God. Yeah, almost like and ID, because of its I think because of its founders who come from a very humble background. PC Mustafa was a coolie's son, a daily wage worker's son. The ID tends to be a very emotional brand. All of us, at ID, I think while he interviewing us, he makes sure that all of us are emotional people while he's hiring us. But ID is a very emotional brand. And what ID did during this time was we did two things primarily. One thing was that we tried to solve the society's problems through many interventions. And the second thing that we did was we tried to tell people to do what we've been telling them to do for so many years, that, eat healthy. I think the society faced a lot of problems. That's the first part. The first part was, there was one point of time, April 2020, when the lockdown had first hit us, when we were all queuing outside grocery stores. When people were stuck away from their mothers and fathers in different cities, and there was a lockdown, and there were no flights, there were no trains, there were no buses. ID has always, through its campaign, asked people. There's a tagline that we have, Khana Khaya. It's almost like a mother, when mother calls you up, even at no matter what age you are, at 75 and you're 45, mother will call up, Beta Khana Khaya. I'm like, Mama, I'm in office, I eat myself, but Mama will still ask Khana Khaya. So there was this one campaign that we did for Mother's Day, 30 days before the Mother's Day in May. So we did it in April at that time. Because we thought that, it's time for all of us to be mothers and ask our neighbor, our auntie, or the bachelor living next door, have you eaten food? Because food was actually, so that was one thing that we did for a campaign for, making people aware that you need to ask about the well-being of others. Then the other thing that we did was that, lots of people started emailing us from Bombay and all the old people that, we're not able to cook, we don't have, and we can't go to the shop nearby. What can you do? So what we did was we started supplying to apartments directly. ID owns its entire fleet. So we started supplying to apartments directly. And the only thing we told them is that you don't need to pay us. You can pay, this is our GPay number. If you pay us, very good. So it was called a trust shop. That we trust you, where you place the order on WhatsApp, we'll drop the goods at your apartment doorstep. And we trust you to pay us. It was actually PC Mustafa's idea. And it was a super hit. Because and we got 97% of the people paying us, because at that point of time, people would pay 2x for the food. Forget about paying X. So that was another societal problem that we tried to solve. And the third one, which we really felt, was that all these mothers who are doctors, lots of doctors are women. They were away from their family, fighting for somebody else's life, ignoring their children at home. I don't know who was cooking for the children at home, putting their lives at risk, putting their family at risk, and fighting for whom? For their duty. And we, all of us, felt very strongly about it. So we did a campaign for Dr. Mothers at that point of time. At that point of time, ID was also getting used a lot. People, there was kitchen fatigue. Women at home were cooking for 6, 7, 8 people who were always at home at all point of time. Somebody's parents came, somebody's in-laws came. and there was kitchen fatigue setting in. And ID, because it's almost it's ready to cook almost. You can get the meal out in 5 minutes after you use ID. So it was kind of tailor-made for us to fit into that situation. So we did a campaign that had gone viral. And the other thing was, I think rural India suffered a lot during this point of time. I mean, all of us are urban and we could always figure out hospital beds and oxygen cylinders, but they were basic masks and other things that were missing in rural India. So we tied up with IIM Bangalore and we tried to, give some medical supplies there. So this was what we were doing for the society. As far as what we were doing for the brand, I mean, we did a campaign for a batter, a product commercial, where we are saying made fresh every day, don't eat food without preservatives, eat home cook, eat fresh. And as far as business is concerned, we saw that D2C channel was growing a lot. E-commerce had, for all companies, shot through 250, 300% year on year. So we tied up with Big Basket. They have a brand called Fresho. We have an ID Fresho batter that we launched with them. So there was some business opportunity, some work for the society, and the same old that, we also launched bread, by the way. We clean label bread, no emulsifier, no class 2 preservatives, no flour treatment agents, no antioxidants, no nothing. Every chemical that you see on back of the pack is not there in ID bread. So we were doing our duty, I thought, launching healthy foods, talking good things.
That's very that's very interesting one, solving the society's problem. And what you talk about, life is all about mirror. If I trust someone trusts me back, right? And we all talked about trust is so critical. I think I'm quite sure many of your consumers really love your brand because of the trust that you showed at that point of time. I just want, Siddharth, I have a question for you, but before that, I really want to get, because people are talking about their industries, and Ram, I wanted to ask you this question because something which was sort of I listened to, the personal mobility, the importance of personal mobility or movement from shared mobility to personal mobility. Okay, how you have seen the change and what is it that Maruti is working on?
Yeah, thanks. So as you were mentioning, the consumer behavior actually has seen this massive shift in the last couple of years. One, of course, were something which were actually the trends which were happening, which were visible over the last few years, but got accelerated. I think it has been mentioned by a fellow panelist. It's about the relevance of digital became more important during this period. But some behavior got actually altered and changed, which is primarily the shift from using cabs and shared mobility to actually personal mobility. And it's primarily driven by this health consciousness which came in, and as Rahul mentioned in this first part, and also with our experience, and if we go by the past, in these uncertain times, we always found that customers tend to gravitate towards more established and trustworthy brands in such times. And this is also most true for high involvement categories like automobile purchase, and actually something like that happened this time as well. It's also because this customer brand loyalty in these categories is earned through years of dedicated service and being there with customers. So this phenomenon actually played out this time also, and with this rising health consciousness that we saw, the people who were earlier using some public transport or shared mobility, wanted this sense of security and wanted a personal mobility, and also for their families. So what we saw was there was a steep rise in the first-time car buyers and the additional car buyers. For example, a daughter goes to college or a wife goes somewhere. Even there, they wanted to have a second car in the family to manage that security and the health concerns. So we saw that in almost the replacement cycles, however, I think got longer. So we got almost 80% of our total sales were being contributed by the first-time car buyers and the additional car buyers. We're talking about brand loyalty here. And I think one of the measures that we have to see that is how many of the customers are actually predetermined about the brand that they want to buy. And, it's a whopping 67%. Every 2 out of 3 cars that customers purchase a Maruti Suzuki are predetermined about the brand. And if I add, another brand within the Maruti Suzuki family, which is that they're considering, then it almost goes up to almost 80%. There are almost 8.
I think we have lost connection with Ram, or is it my connection? I don't know, but I think let's wait for him to come back. But meanwhile, Siddharth, I would like to ask, hello, is it me only? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Siddharth, I wanted to, I think that's what you said was just through my mind. Okay, Nazar hati, Durgatna gati. Okay, one touch point lost and brand loyalty lost type of stuff scenario that you're talking about. So we heard about different touch points. Okay, if in next probably 1 or 2 minutes, do you want to sort of take us through some of your examples and importance of touch points?
Yeah, so for example, we have a very good case study with L'Oreal. So during the pandemic time, they wanted to reach out to their...
I'm sorry.
You're back. Okay, we had lost you meanwhile. I think Siddharth started talking. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Siddharth. You would like to continue, or should I just finish quickly?
Yeah, please finish now.
Yeah. So we have this value of customer obsession, which we have as part of our organizational values. For example, in this uncertain times, we found that the customers were also faced with various financial and other uncertainties. And bang in the middle of the pandemic, we launched 2 big initiatives. One was that we launched the Maruti Suzuki subscription service, which is which enables the customer to have this convenience and safety of a 4-wheeler, and access to the car at monthly rentals rather than actually buying out with down payments and so on. So another one is that while we've been working on digitalization over many years, we also found that one particular touch point, there was a break in the digital journey, which was the finding a loan, or a customer finding a and kind of shopping around banks and trying to find out the right product, the right EMI kind of a thing. So we actually launched a Maruti Suzuki Smart Finance, a marketplace kind of a thing, which could seamlessly go through on the digital platform itself. And although we say that the automobile industry, I mean, for car buying is more of a phygital experience. It is not completely digital. It's a high involvement category. And Maruti Suzuki is known for its vast physical network, for many years now. But that didn't stop us from investing in digitalization over many years, and we took on this one-of-a-kind dealer digitalization program, and we were having this 6,000 plus digital assets that we created through our hyperlocal program. And when this pandemic struck, I think we were already prepared and ready to reach out to customers through these digital assets. And again, one more thing, we also saw these rising fuel prices, and customers looking at other fuel options like CNG, for example. And here was Maruti Suzuki, probably the only one with 8 models equipped with factory-fitted CNG kind of powertrain available. So what I'm trying to say is that customers also understand and realize that such massive, big initiatives cannot be taken overnight. It's about brands which continuously invest in customer-focused innovation, and then are able to actually deliver the desired experience at the right time. So this is exactly what has happened in our case, where our investments and understanding of the customer actually helped us, and the investments that we made over many years actually kept us in good stead during this pandemic time.
I think interesting from the total customer cost perspective, I think you're making sure that the convenience, availability, and CNG, okay, actually getting the cost down increases the brand. And we're talking about, you also talked about touch points. Siddharth, we are sort of short of a bit of time, so if you can, within a minute, if you can cover.
Exactly, very quickly. So basically, we have this very interesting case study with L'Oreal, where during the pandemic time, when consumers were not able to go to the salons and take the hair care or beauty care advice and get their services, etc. That time, very interesting initiative which L'Oreal had done was that targeting consumers in the right way, in a hyper-local way, and then from there connecting them to their WhatsApp business account, where they also had a combination of bot and human intervention, where they were able to reach out to a lot of their consumers, provide them with right advice on hair care and beauty care, because they were not able to go to this salon. And then when salons opened up, then they were able to extend that channel to also help them with providing them coupons and getting them to locate the nearest salon services, etc. And personally, I was able to see that with that, brand was able to be at the right channel where consumer was spending a lot of time during pandemic, and was able to provide all the information which consumer wanted during that time, create stronger loyalty during that time. And then when pandemic opened up, then all that demand also got converted into even their salon trade partners also getting the benefit and getting the loyalty out of that as well. So yeah, I think when you are on the right channel at the right time, you can create very strong loyalty.
That's very true. Well covered that way. Dr. Ipsita, your category, okay, as you rightly have said, the consumers started demanding all those non-toxic beauty products. Okay, so how did it help you, and how did you actually build that that brand loyalty that you sort of deserve that way?
Sure. So for us as a beauty conglomerate, we have 6 brands and we have 12 sub brands in our universe, which are a rich mix of D2C, B2B, as well as, retail, omni-channel. So what we did was the conversations that are happening around clean, green, ethical beauty did help us a lot. And in fact, I would want to categorize our initiatives into 2 categories. One was human and one was digital. So I'll start with digital initiatives. Digitally, what we did was digital transformation. We were majorly a physical retail brand, and we were majorly a B2 brand in the salon professional industry. But the digital transformation plan was planned in such a manner that the execution was done within 3 months. Such kind of strategies, they take about year and a half to execute and implement, but we did it in a phenomenal time of 3 months. And also we became a mobile first economy in terms of our brand strategy. Apart from that, coming to our human aspects, we created a 3-pronged strategy, which was care, compassion, and connection. Caring for the people, because for us, our people are very important. So we cared for our people, we took care of their livelihood, and at the same time, we allocated resources. For example, physical retail outlets were shut down, so we allocated our resources to move towards pharmacy retail outlets so that they can help there better and also continue their livelihood. Apart from that, coming to compassion for humanity, we did oxygen generator plants in various hospitals, helped a lot of people here and there. And of course, I'll not take much of your time because I do believe that the time has overshot. And coming to the connection part of it, that's very important for us, because that is the kind of loyalty program we wanted to build with our people, especially coming to our IMLP club, which is I Am Lotus Professional Club, which is an elite club which was created during the pandemic time to help the beauticians not only earn a livelihood at that point of time, but also prepare them for their digital journey and transformation. So we taught them how to use ring lights. We taught them how to, suggest products. We also launched a lot of affiliate programs. So we also created a lot of communities and cohorts so that they earn their livelihood. And at the same time, people have a recall of their brand, irrespective of the fact whether the beauticians were a part of Lotus users or not. So, it didn't really matter to us. That's how we did it. Apart from that, another acquisition which happened last year in 2020 was an Ayurvedic beauty and wellness brand, which is very high on sustainability. We also launched India's first solar powered beauty and wellness outlet. And, I believe the brand loyalty, as I categorized in my previous statement, that it's about head, heart, and hand. So different kinds of activities were taken up. People who identified with the philanthropy and the altruistic pattern of our Lotus Foundation, where we did a lot of humanitarian activities, not only out of creating a brand loyalty structure, but also at the same time, that's one of the core DNA of the brand of Lotus. We are a very compassionate, and I would agree with Rahul that we also belong to that emotional space. Our owners are very emotional. And that's why we were able to build that kind of brand loyalty. People were able to identify with us. For our head consumers, head loyalists, we did a lot of activations on digital platforms, which included influencer communities. We targeted nano and micro influencers instead of Cat A and Cat B, because, those are kind of peers, which I think Ruchika and also Pradnya also mentioned that it's very important in the beauty industry that people trust the people whom they hear the brand from. So it was very important for us to those, have that kind of marketing activities. And apart from that, at the end, we also move towards an omni-channel loyalty program. We do have a lot of loyalty programs that exist. Earlier, they were solely focused on event and experiences and very, very, tailor-made for custom made for physical events. But now we also planned a lot of digital activations, and also the omni-channel redemption of points was taken care of. So in short, I would like to summarize, although there were a lot of other activities, but I would like to summarize them between human and digital and our three-pronged strategy named care, compassion, and connection.
That's very interesting, but I think when I'm hearing to all of you and different stories from different industries, I think basics of marketing will never change. I don't know whether it's a motherhood statement or not, but trust is the core of it. As long as irrespective of whichever category that you are from and whatever turbulence that the brand goes through, if you are true to your brand values and provide that trust, some of the inspiring stories also I'm going to stay with me with what ID did. Okay, so I think trust is the common factor all of us you have talked about. If you're true to it, okay, then definitely brand loyalty wouldn't go away. Parameters would change, but trust has to be the core one. Okay, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure listening to all your stories and getting inspired from it and getting a lot of ideas. Thanks for joining in, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you for joining us.